ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody from the non-conforming world. I am so thankful to welcome you back to another episode of Queer Late Night, a late night podcast where we give people from the queer community and our allies an opportunity to share a little insight and knowledge they've gained from their personal and professional journey. I am so happy to be here with my best friend, the whole I world, thing that goes bump in the nighttime, best credit score in the world, Mr. Ricky Roman. Okay, so we don't have sound effects. That's fine. We're gonna keep on moving today. We're gonna keep on moving. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Blessed and highly favored. It's a beautiful day. It's warm out. It was snowing yesterday. The weather's confusing, but
yeah,
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
You are welcome. Did you get some good sleep?
I got some great sleep.
Good. I'm glad you were able to go. And what time did you wake up today?
At a time.
Okay, a time's a time. That's right. And we're in honor right now. We are in the midst of a hero, in my opinion. I'm going to bring this camera so I can see you while I read. I'm going to try to get through this introduction the best way I can. People who listen to this show probably know that I cannot read realistically. It's made up, but I'm going to try to do it. Tonight we're joined by someone I met while working at the LGBTQ Center here in Manhattan. We spent a short time sharing an office, but I learned enough in that short time to graciously ask her to be on this show tonight. I'm going to read the introduction. Cristina Herrera, founder of Translatina Network in 2007, in order to organize and empower the transgender immigrant community through the leadership, development, and education. Cristina was formerly the Transgender Program Coordinator at the Lesbian, Gay, and Bisexual Transgender Community Center, the center here in Manhattan, where she worked in various roles for 11 years. In her final role, prior to moving into the full-time staff leader at TN, she oversaw the development and workforce development programming specifically designed to meet the needs of TGNC community. A leader in the field of TGNC services, HIV prevention, advocacy, and community organizing for 18 years. Cristina, she has served on countless panels and community boards and has presented with awards of recognition by the New York City Department of Health, AIDS Institute, the New York City Council, the Queensborough President, and many other organizations. Without further ado, everyone that's listening, Cristina Herrera.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, Les.
You're welcome. I hope people that are listening, I'm going to make sure that this is in the writing when you go ahead and listen to this podcast and wherever you listen to it. I thought of you immediately for this day because this is recording for Trans Day of Visibility. You're one of the people that stuck out to me just because you shared just a small part of your story, but I could just see the work you were doing, and it was very important for me as a cis male learning about other people, a part of my community. Mm-hmm. And it meant so much. So I just want to say thank you for that because you are instrumental in my education of what the transgender experience is and how to better it and how to even be in the public health and healthcare setting and making each moment and interaction with community members something where they feel listened to and they don't feel judged and they feel their authentic self being visible. That's it. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say. I really appreciate it.
Well, I want to say thank you to you too for being such a great ally. Thank you so much for, creating spaces such as this one so our community can talk about who we are, what we, struggle with and what we succeed in, because there's a lot of good things that happen, to individuals who are living authentically as a trans and gender nonconforming individual.
I really appreciate it. We have some, I'm not sure you probably listen to podcasts. A lot of people tell me, I really don't listen to podcasts. That's okay. We can get you all caught up to speed. We have some queer news from Ricky Roman. Would you like to take it away?
Yeah. So this little bit comes to us from them.us, one of our favorite publications, by Samantha Rydell. The title is Iowa's governor has banned trans girls from women's sports. And this isn't something brand new to us in the news. We kind of see this spark up in conversation a lot over the past couple of years. I mean, you can attest in being more visible, we see more pushback, right? But that's part of the fight. We've seen this since any form of queer liberation, right? So I pulled an excerpt that stuck out to me. I'm going to read to you now. On Thursday, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds signed into law HF 2416, requiring that the state's academic athletic programs be based on the sex at birth of the participating students. Trans athletes still wanting to compete would be forced to either join mixed gender teams or gendered team misaligned with their identity. The legislation takes effect immediately, legally removing all openly trans students from any teams as of March 3rd. It's frustrating.
It's sad because these are not only trans people, but they're trans children.
These are kids.
And when we're young, we are shaped. We're moldable. We're shaped by a lot of bad and good influences, but this is one in which you're outright pushing someone back for trying to live their truth, you know? And I watched the news. It's not fair to the other athletes, and it's not, but
that's bullshit.
People join things, and it's a mess. I feel like they're missing the mark a lot, and this isn't the first time we're hearing about this. We heard about this also in the Olympics. It's becoming more and more visible that people with trans experience aren't being widely accepted in all spaces like they should be. Cristina, how have you been, dealing? I know you work with, trans youth too, but how's this hit you? That's the question. How does news like this, all this pushback in sports fields and entertainment, how's this really
legislation? Crazy.
Continuing to hear all this anti-trans, like policies, laws, regulations, it's really triggering to me. I'm someone that, has dealt with discrimination, bullying, violence due to being different, due to being, a trans woman of color. And so hearing that these laws, which are very backwards kind of laws, it's like continuing just to target our community. This is something that unfortunately we have faced for many, many generations, but continuing to see this in 2022 is really a shame. And yes, when it comes to, thinking about, our kids, our community that cannot defend, themselves, our community that, wants to live a healthy, happy, fulfilling life. What does this do? All these policies, these policies, like create like more like hardship, more mental health stress.
Yes.
And, a lot of, how can I say, like a sense of like guilt and a sense of like being, beginning to like question who we are. And this is not healthy for a young person to be dealing with.
To be invalidated.
It's oppressing and very damaging and damning. I'm hoping that things will change. I really do. I mean that honestly, but it's these Midwest states that aren't exposed to the rest of the world to be able to see that everybody's human. That's it. We work. We all have to go to work. We all have to sleep, pay our bills, and do the same exact thing, and want love, respect, and dignity. But that's something that apparently is too much to ask for, and change needs to come soon. Thank you very much for giving for that news.
Welcome.
I have some queer banter, so I normally do some queer banter, and I wanted to find something a little positive. I did find something positive. I'm going to read it to you. Hold on, let me see where it's at. I have it right here. Now, this is also from Them Magazine, and this article is by Samantha Riddell, published February 17, 2022. So it's a little old, but it's very helpful. It's a little bit uplifting in sense. The title of the article is, "This Map of Informed Consent Clinics is Helping Trans People Find HRT." In the face of anti-trans trans legislation, community resources are more vital than ever. So a little bit about this article before I read it. It's pretty much really helpful for people who aren't in an affirming state. And for everyone's listening, affirming state means you can openly be a person of trans experience and seek medical attention without any discrimination. And that's not very many states. And here in the U.S., I think there's only about 32 that has half the laws and protections for people seeking medical treatment. I'm going to go ahead and read the article. Baffled and discouraged by the process of getting hormones? Well, you're not alone. In many places in the United States, it's acronym and outdated standards for transitioning related to medical care are still the norm. Trans people can be required to live their true gender for years, procure many letters of therapy, and jump through hoops to secure approval for hormonal replacement therapy. The whole process can be often daunting and harmful, and also worse than just anything ever. Thankfully, the proliferation of trans communities on the internet has brought an explosive information help for people to find care and need. In 2019, Aaron Reed, then a digital creator and progressive news outlet in America Independence, launched a Google My Map project to try to pinpoint every medical facility in the country that offers HRT and via informed consent, which allows patients who decide to seek treatment on their own to do so. Today, Reed is recovering from a gender confirmation surgery, but the map is going viral on the internet. And pretty much what it is, it just targets all the places it flags and pinpoints all the places here in QNS in the United States where people who are seeking trans hormonal therapy or to transition to be able to go there and be able to be affirmed and have the consent to do so. So, where there is, so much negativity, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Once again, this article is from Them Magazine. They leave all their articles up. It's by Samantha Riddell, and you can go to Them Magazine and find the map as well as the article and read it yourself. And that's it. I hope that little bit of information was helpful for everyone. I hope my fifth grade reading, I get nervous when I have to read in front of people. It does not go well for me, but you know what I'm doing? I'm making it do what it do. Okay.
Amen.
Amen. All right. A woman.
A them.
A them. There you go. We have our queer question. And I was thinking today, I don't know where this question came from, but it really resonated with me because one of our last experiences is you went away for 2 weeks before you ended your employment and started being the CEO and founder of your own organization. You like to go on trips. So the queer question today is, let me look at your screen. What is one of the places that you like to vacation to that never gets old?
Wow, I love this question.
Thank you.
Who doesn't love vacation?
Oh, I do. I wish I could take them more often, but it's hard, especially, when you're running your own organization, and continuing to, evolve, during a time of a world pandemic can be very difficult, but I do my best to make time for it. So I guess I'll choose one of the countries that I love to go the most. And I'm hoping to go there this year. I'll see how things go. So I'll say Israel.
Israel. Wow.
Yes. I've been there twice.
Okay.
And I never get enough. And I'm hoping that I can go back this year again. I'm already planning my July trip because I usually travel in July. And so yes, I hope to go there. I'm going back to Egypt again.
Okay.
So I guess since I want to be right next to Israel, so I might just find a way to get back in there.
Interesting.
You like to be on the plane for, you said you fly first class. I think you told me too, right?
I fly comfort.
Okay, you fly
whenever
comfort.
possible.
I had to ask because I can't be on the plane more than 6 hours. If I have to go to LA, I immediately get a lot of anxiety. I'm like, what am I going to do for 6 hours? Trying to sleep. I'll wake up an hour into it and we haven't left the tarmac. I'm like, this is not what I had signed up for. But Israel and Egypt. Okay.
Fascinating. Ancient.
Ricky Roman, where about you?
I've only been there once, but Thailand, it's really so beautiful and special. It's and anyone that's been there understands that, and I recommend 1010. You gotta go. For
Okay.
anyone who hasn't.
Once again, that's another place that takes way too long for me. I'm gonna go ahead and say what I like to go. I like to go to Mexico. I've been to Mexico now three times, and I love the food. I love the culture, and it's never too hot or too cold. It's perfect, right? And depending on which side of the map you're on, you get the blue water or you get the murky green, but it's warm. So I'm not gonna complain because here on the East Coast, New York, Reese Beach, all that, it doesn't.
The
water,
Hudson is
the Hudson's dirty.
dirty.
Dirty, and you don't even get to go in the water. You can't get into the water on this part of like the earth until about August, and you need to be burning hot. Like I'm talking about like cooking, and then you're like, oh, let me go take a dip in this dirty water.
In the sewer water.
In the sewer water. Well, we got our vacations out of the way. We got segment 1 out of the way. Let me see. I am, this organization's a little poor too. We got 16 minutes. It says we probably have extra 4. So
Are we still going?
Yes, we have 20 minutes. I think this will end. I'll probably have to send you another invite because we got that 40-minute package.
Oh, really?
Yes, we can't afford anything else.
Okay.
But we're going to go ahead and get into it. This is a post for Trans Day of Visibility. I wanted this because I feel like this is why I created this platform, to give space for everyone, especially people of color, especially people that's been marginalized, to use their voice. But it felt really important to make sure that I left this space for resources, because as a healthcare worker, former healthcare worker, now performer, a care worker, I experience not enough resources. Even here in New York City, where there's so many, there's still not enough. And going to other conferences outside of the state, I realized there's a lot of places where there isn't any resources. So without further ado, I got an excerpt. How do you say the word excerpt?
Excerpt, yeah.
I got an excerpt from the Human Rights Campaign that I'd like to read to you, Cristina, if you would like to listen to more of that. Here we go.
Thank you.
Transgender people come from all walks of lives. We are your parents, siblings, children. We are your co-workers and neighbors. We are 7-year-old kids. We are 70-year-old grandparents. We are a diverse community representing a racial and ethnic background as well as faith backgrounds. International Trans Day of Visibility is marked every March 31st. It is a time to celebrate transgender people around the globe and their courage to take their lives openly and authentically, while also raising awareness around the discrimination trans people still face. Their journey towards living openly and authentically looks different for everyone, and given the levels of violence and discriminations faced by transgender people and expansive people, revealing the expressions one's gender identity can be complex and difficult process. That's from the Human Rights Campaign, and this was written by the staff over at the Human Rights Campaign. It was written March 29th, 2018, and we salute and celebrate everyone that's out there on the front lines doing the groundwork and putting in the work for this fight. The question I wanted to ask you to open up this interview was, what does Trans Day of Visibility mean for you, Cristina?
Thank you for that question. So for me, Transgender Day of Visibility is a celebration. It's a day to really reflect on community resilience, and also to provide spaces for hope to all those individuals that may not be living in environments where their gender identity is being, honored. So yes, I try to spin it as much as I can on a positive note, because, and we have the Trans Day of Remembrance, which is a little bit more sorrow and sad. So I believe that for Trans Day of Visibility is a space where we have to really celebrate, come together, talk about everything that we are accomplishing. Of course, talk about concerns that we have as a community, but mainly focus on ways that we can overcome.
Yes.
Well said.
Well said. And you are the CEO and founder. That's one thing I want to one day be able to put in front of my name. But the CEO and founder of Translatina Network here in New York, New York. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. And you've been. It's how long have you been open now?
We have been, we began to do this work at Translatina Network since 2005.
Okay.
2007, we became incorporated and were able to get our 501c3 nonprofit status. And so for the past, 5 to 7 years, we have really blown up in when it comes to services and support.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have been able to become an organization, that hosts 12 full-time employees, like myself. And yes, and we have been able to really develop our portfolio of services. So we have services around HIV prevention, immigrant support services, which continue to be one of our most important programs. And apart from that, we have really dive in fully to do a lot of workforce development. So we have a very robust workforce development, and we hire from within the community. So if people welcome to check out our website, which I don't think is working right now, but it should be coming on tomorrow once again. They will see that a lot of us in the organization, we reflect the community that we serve, which is a really, a very special, process and opportunity, because we want to make sure that we pay it forward. So as individuals go through our programming, become empowered, they also get to become the providers of tomorrow, which is really important.
That's amazing. And you just knocked it out of the park, because I wanted you to talk about the services you provide, because the website was working when I went today to look at it, and it was amazing. But we won't get too far ahead. I want you to kind of tell us about yourself. First question, I'm gonna go ahead and take that one. What is your sign, and how do you best identify with it?
What is my sign?
Yes.
Ooh, so I'm Sagittarius.
There you go.
Hey, me too.
Oh, wow. And so how do I identify?
Best. Well, people normally pick the best traits. I would say pick the best trait.
Well, I believe that for me, I really cherish the fact that I like to really take as much time as I can for myself, to really just appreciate life, to appreciate accomplishments, and to plan for the future. So I feel that I'm very strategic.
Yes.
It's a good word for it. And apart from that, I do my best. It gets easier as we get older, I think. So I do my best to really pamper myself. And you brought up a question earlier about one of my favorite things to do, which is traveling. So I always try to make sure that when I pamper myself really well.
Yes.
And because it's a old friend of mine used to say, if you work hard, you have to play hard.
That's
And
right.
so that's something. So I try not to, I try not to limit myself, and I try not to really, be cheap on myself. I try to be as generous as I can, because if I don't do it for myself, nobody else will.
Amen. That's right.
What I heard is you do not take the spirit flights. That's what I heard. No spirit flights.
She said comfortable.
Comfortable. Go ahead. It's your question.
Christina, what are you reading right now? And if you're not reading anything, what are you watching?
Yes, I'm not reading anything right now.
Me either.
But oh yes, I try to. How can I say? I try to. I don't know. Honestly, I'll talk about what I'm actually working on, if you don't mind, on my personal side, because I'm kind of putting it out there in the universe.
Okay.
So, one of my goals in the near future, probably 3 to 5 years, I'm hoping to have my own home, and I'm hoping it will be in a warmer place, such as Florida or Puerto Rico, or who knows, maybe another country such as Mexico, who knows. So what I've begun to do in the past month and a half is I began to pack some of the stuff that I had at home that I never really used,
Okay.
but that I want to hang on to.
Yeah.
So I started to pack, to label the boxes. I got me a whole bunch of like moving boxes. I have a storage room because I want to put it out in the universe that I'm already planning for my next big project, which
I
is
like
getting myself a
that.
home.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Wow.
That's smart.
That's
There's so many
Yes.
efficient things to that. I love it.
That's a way of life and way of thinking about it. Okay. I'm gonna have to pack some boxes, but I'm really have to get rid of mine. Where did you grow up?
Mhm. So I'm originally from El Salvador. I moved in here to the U.S. when I was almost 11 years old. I moved to LA. So I was in LA for about almost 5 years. And once I went through adolescence, around 15 and a half, I decided that I needed to go to a place where I could be affirmed and I could feel safe and make my dreams come true. So then I chose to come to New York, and
At
that was
15?
a 15 and a half. Yes.
That's-
I came and stay. I stood with my aunt
Yeah.
for a couple of years. By the time I was 18, I was able to get my first apartment. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yes, so
In
I've
New
been
York
in,
City at 18, that's
yeah,
really incredible.
yes, and in the 80s, which was really crazy. It was
Oh,
about
I heard.
1988.
Where was it? Where
Um,
was the apartment?
My first apartment was actually New Jersey. I was living in
Yeah.
the South Bronx, which
Yeah.
was a big difference from LA,
Okay.
from the next
Yeah.
area in LA. So I was like, I I can't, I'm not saying anything bad about the Bronx. I don't want to be, but I was like, I'm like, the Bronx is not for me.
Yeah, okay.
It's not.
I
for
need to
long.
get away.
Right.
It wasn't for J Lo either, and she left. So the Bronx, and then from 18? What did you go right into college or?
So I finished high school, and then I knew that I needed, in order to succeed and to accomplish more things, I needed to continue my education. So I began to go to CUNY, to Borough Manhattan Community College. So I took a 2-year degree on human services, which is like prep for like social work and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I went into college. No rush, because I was already beginning to transition. So I took my time. And then about, 4 years later, I was able to graduate from BNCC. And then I was like, I'm ready to go into like nonprofit work. And so I started to, get into nonprofit, to work with the trans community. This was closer to 2000. Part of it was that I fell in love, and his family was putting a lot of pressure on me.
Whose family?
My exes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I believe that trans resiliency is really special, really important. And for me, part of my path was that I had to use a combination of survival skills in order
Yes.
to make it in life.
Absolutely.
And so I, as I went into my second serious relationship,
Yeah.
I was getting pressure around like his family around like, oh, it's like you're not really working full time and blah blah blah. And so I was falling in love. So I
Yeah.
was like,
Okay.
let me go ahead and go into nonprofit and go in full time
Right.
and kind of like continue with my path. And
Yeah.
so doing that, I was able to reconsider going back to school. And then I went to Queens College for my bachelor's in sociology. And that's when I was already putting together, because trans community, we take care of each other,
Mhm.
and we take care of each other with or without education. If we have
Right.
a plate of food and somebody's hungry, we share it with them, and we care for one another. So I would like to say I was already doing like social work
Yeah.
even before actually formalized,
Yes.
like
You had your-
work was happening.
Did you have your own house, or did you, how?
Yeah, I had my own apartment and stuff, and I would help community members that were dealing with like HIV. Back then treatment wasn't as good, especially in like the mid '90s and early 2000, and so I was there, for many of my peers, we were dealing with a lot of violence. So I would try to, provide safe space for them, go with them, if I needed to take them to like the hospital or if I needed to help them access, like benefits or support. So, so I began nonprofit work, and that's how Translatina Network began.
I love that.
Beautiful.
You answered, you pretty much answered three questions at once. But we're just gonna go back to it. Do you want to ask the question?
Yeah. For other trans and non-binary people listening, could you tell us about your discovery as a trans person and what that realization was like for you?
Sure, and that's such a good question. So for me, as a child, around like 5, 6, 7 years old, I felt different.
Right.
I did not really, identify, as other little kids, other boys, like in my neighborhood and stuff like that. So part of me did not want to like play with them. Part of me was like, these are things that I don't want to do, like play soccer and like baseball or something. It wasn't for me and stuff, but I couldn't really pinpoint it at it and to see what was going on. So as I, turned about 10, 11 years old, when I came to the US, a lot of that, questioning, became internal conflict because of similar to what we spoke about in the beginning, how kids are facing a lot of, like harm through policies and discrimination. So I began to go through some of those feelings and those concerns because I knew that it wasn't safe for me to talk about my own questioning. I couldn't really describe, what was happening to me, but even if I was able to describe it, I don't think it would have been like a good idea for me to disclose that even to my parents.
Right. Yeah.
So it was hard. Back then we didn't have internet, so I couldn't just like go on a phone and look things up. And I did have a library nearby, in LA, like a couple of blocks away, but I couldn't just go to a library and be like, oh, let me find out something about being, like LGBT or something like that. Wouldn't have been safe for me too. So a lot of it, I had to like kind of keep it in and kind of like negotiate with myself about how to manage a lot of that. So for me, I knew that I felt like a girl and I wanted to look like a girl, but I felt it was like so hard and almost impossible. So when I got to New York and I was able to, meet a coworker of mine, because I was working in a fast food restaurant, a coworker confided in me that his girlfriend was a trans female, and she was pretty. She was about 18, 19 years old. I was like around 17, and he's like, my girlfriend can help you, become like her. And it was like such a blessing for me because like I didn't even know where to start.
Right.
And so she advised me, she gave me tips. She prepared me also because it wasn't going to be all pretty. It was going to come with a lot of like losses and a lot of danger. But it was something that I needed to do because I know that not following my path would have been more detrimental to me. So I began to take hormones. So by the time I turned 18, I got my first surgery and started to access hormones, and the rest is history. Like I'm very happy where I am now.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's there for that story is touching, one, and two. I've heard the story so many times from different people with trans experience, and it's just always good to hear I decided to live my truth. And that's what you said, and it is dangerous and it is scary, and I can't compare it to anything, but I just appreciate you and your resilience and your effortlessness just to help others as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. The next question is, where did you find support? And we'll go to the next one after that. Where did you find support?
So, and I'll tie it into previous answers. So, like I shared previously, that a lot of times, our resources are our own community.
Right.
So for me, finding that individual, that trans partner that was like a young guy loving a trans woman, Puerto Rican female, trans female, and him becoming an ally to me by
Right.
talking to his girlfriend,
Right.
and and his girlfriend like making herself available to take me to the surgeon and
Right.
to connect me.
Yeah.
So I would say community
Community.
resource was like one of the primary sources of support for my life.
Yeah.
Back then we didn't have like community centers, we didn't
Right.
have like safe spaces online. Internet did not exist, and so a lot of it we had to build community, and some of it was even meeting community in the stroll, where
Yeah.
people used to go out and work. And that used to be one of our primary places for support, because that's where community would catch up and talk about, things in life.
Of course. Thank you. Is there anyone that you look up to today?
When it comes to the trans community, I would say that, and this is a little sad, because yes, there were like community members that were really important and really crucial in my life and for my own development as a trans female. But unfortunately, they're no longer here. So one of them was my best friend Petra. She identified as gender non-binary,
Okay.
but she was instrumental in supporting me and being there for me, helping me navigate different situations. And so I would always think of her. I was just actually watching a video of her last night, and someone else that I would really admire and that I would really appreciate was Lorena Borjas, which is a community leader that's no longer with us, that she passed away from COVID.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Well, we've got to know you. We got just to hear a little bit about your story, and thank you so much for sharing your story. But now we need to hear about all the heroism and all the things that goes into having a safe haven, a safe space at like I'm about to struggle, like the Translatina Network. What does it mean to be a transgender affirming organization? What does that look like? What does it mean? And how, for the people that are listening that are in Iowa or somewhere, what does it mean to be able to go and sit down and feel comfortable?
I believe that being a trans affirming organization is being an organization that is intentional about the work that they do with the trans community. And by being intentional is about, hiring from within the community, like actually, like showing and proving to themselves and to everybody else that they're serious about empowering our community. A lot of times, there's individuals such as myself that are looking for employment, and some of the nonprofits that say they don't want to give us an opportunity, or they give us like a half-ass opportunity, such as giving us like a peer position, or like a outreach position that's like 10 hours or something. That's not employment.
No.
Employment is providing full-time positions with benefits, with a competing salary.
Yes.
That's being serious about working with the trans community, finding resources even where there isn't any, to really provide those services. Because a lot of times, like people, organizations be like, I'm sorry, I wish I could do more, but there is just no funding. It's like, that's not an answer. If you find funding for other expenses, why can't you find resources for, for what really should matter? So, I feel that that's something else that there's also room for growth. Making sure that, when it comes to the benefits that you provide to your employees, making sure that it covers, like trans affirming surgeries. You spoke about healthcare and how crucial it is in our lives. So, having healthcare that understands us and that wants to work with us and our needs is really crucial.
Yes, thank you so much. And I have a few friends that are in some high positions in their organizations. And that's one of the biggest issues. It's like not only having health insurance, because we all know that's just very small. You can buy any health insurance plan, but having gender affirming health insurance, that way the people with trans experience can access the care they need without having to pay an arm and a leg or out of pocket or being told that it's cosmetic versus something they need. So you know what? Thank you. That's great. I hope y'all hear that. You're listening. You go ahead. It's your turn.
What are some signs or red flags clients, community members, and other people with trans experience should watch out for or report? Does that make sense?
Yes, I believe so. Oh my God, it could be so many things. Sometimes we genuinely want to trust people, and we want to trust them for the right reasons. And a lot of times we don't, listen to our, into our, our gut or, our inner voice. And so I feel that whenever, we're interacting with, anyone else, any other community or any other community members, we always have to be cautious, because you just never know when. It's better to manage those relationships and those friendships from a place of safety, and not be 100% trustful, because a lot of times that can be dangerous. We see that there's a lot of exploitation of our community. There might be even let's say people that say that they want to help us or they want to work with us, but they don't have really good intentions with us. So we need to just be mindful of that, so that we don't get hurt or we don't have to suffer negative consequences.
Truly. A lot of that comes around when you, in the hiring process, when you hire people that you say you want to let the community, make sure you don't put them out front as the answer or a textbook. It's not anyone's responsibility to educate you on what you don't know. You got to educate yourself. So I mean, we've experienced a pandemic where people have not been able to access resources like they need to, go in person, see people, see mental health providers, see doctors, see community members. Because I remember at the center we had immigration services where they had groups, and they would come and build that community amongst each other, find jobs, trade recipes, go places. What have you seen? What service have you seen of the influx the most in the Translatin network, Translatina Network?
So one of the services that that was a reaction to the beginning of the pandemic, and it was a need that really came out. It was access to nutritional support services. Historically, we had, as a community, we had always, dealt with, lack of food or not enough food and stuff like that. And the pandemic amplified that. So we were able to develop, a pantry service. And that pantry service has really been, I would call it successful, because we have seen a huge response from community. And now we serve over 100, I think over 180, almost 200 community members per month. They come and get, pantry at the office. PPE was also crucial. PPE was really, really important, especially to keep infections down at the height of the pandemic. And a lot of our community suffers from housing insecurity. So having access to PPE and enough of it was really crucial. Sorry, I'm saying a couple of things. I love it. And the third one, which is also, it's a double kind of resource that we have provided. So we saw that, we had to quickly adapt to virtual services. So our groups moved into virtual. So our groups that were historically 20, 30, 40 people attending jumped to like 60, 80 people attending the groups and stuff. So that was like, I guess we were meeting like a need that that wasn't being met somewhere else. So for us, it made us feel good because our community could access that crucial support from anywhere they were. And so that was really important. And we were able to provide about 60 clients. We were able to provide them with access to like technology equipment such as tablets and 5G cell phones, which were crucial because some of our clients had, the government phones, which would not allow like Zoom or Google Hangouts and stuff like that. So us making available, like tablets and cell phones with unlimited service was really crucial.
Yes, congratulations on that. That's amazing work. Go ahead, you have the next one.
What sort of disparities do the trans community face without an organization like Translatina?
Let's skip that one because I feel like you've already answered that question. I think let's go to the next. You can go to the next one.
What does it mean to you to be a Translatina community leader?
Oh, I think that sounds like an easy question, but it's really not. Being a trans Latinx community leader is just being someone that, cares for other community members, trans community members. And I feel that for me, it's something that was already always in me.
I see
it's
that.
Just now
I see
I'm
that.
getting paid for it, but like it's something that I was already doing. But I do know that this is something that we need to see more often, and we need to empower our community so there's more of us being able to take on a leadership role.
Right.
So.
Not everyone's meant to be a leader though, but it's clear that it's always been something ingrained in you.
For a very long time. I have another question. This one's not written down, but if you could, share a story that you remember that from a person that you helped personally that touched your heart. What story? What was it? What's the story? If you could share like a small part of it.
Sure. So, I was working with a trans Latinx community member from Mexico, and she was dealing with an undocumented immigration status, for many, many years, for about 6 to 7 years. And she was already like in despair, she felt already like kind of like almost like giving up because she had a lot of consultations and everybody was not giving her, like hope or giving her the resources and stuff. And I had to sit down with her and have like a serious conversation where I had to work with a lot of that pain and that discomfort and find light within a lot of that darkness and stuff. So I was able to be like with her, listen, you're gonna be knocking on a lot of doors. A lot of doors are not gonna open for you, but sooner or later there's gonna be one that opens. And all these organizations that have said no to you, they're not the only Coca-Colas in the desert.
Right.
There's plenty of others, and we're gonna find you.
Amen.
That one that's gonna say yes.
Right.
And within, I would say, like 9 months to a year, we were able to help her secure immigration services and representation. And now, she has moved to become a green card holder because she has been able to accomplish getting her asylum. From the asylum, she moved to become a green card holder, which is a permanent resident. And now she's in line to become a U.S. citizen.
It's amazing.
And so I feel that that's like such a great story to tell.
That's an amazing story. It's I've seen the lengthy process that people have waited, and it is something that's daunting because not only can you not you're not a legal citizen, if we want to use that terminology, you can't contribute. And the one thing everyone, when you come here, people want work. They want to build from themselves. They want to build a platform. They want to get the benefit. They want their dream, and it's long. And I commend you for everything you do, like you've been doing the entire time. And we're getting towards the end of the interview, and I thank you so much for your stories you've already shared with us. And here we get a little deeper. We're gonna end with some advice. So the first question I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to parents of trans children if you could talk to them?
So one advice that I would let them know is that, yes, they might face a lot of like hardship, a lot of like rejection and stuff, but not to give up. That love and just overall, like, family will get them through difficult situations. And the way I see things is not, things are not permanent, and just because things look really bad right now doesn't mean that they're going to stay bad forever. And so just not to give up, and just to continue to love their kids and show them that they're in it for the long run.
Amen.
To protect them and to support them no matter what.
That's a parent's role at the end of the day,
that
right?
Is, if for 9 months or you're attaching yourself to someone, how could you cast someone away just because they're different?
What words of advice do you have for trans youth?
And this is, for youth that may not be living in places where they have a lot of support, such as New York City. I would tell them that that help is out there, and they might not see it in their neighborhoods, in their cities, or even in their states, but we do have a lot of national resources that are available for them to help them deal with the challenges that they might face, and that things will get better for them, and better policies will come into play in time.
Well said.
You. Well, this has been a great episode and a great interview and an awesome opportunity. I thank you so much for sharing your story. But before you leave, I want your organization I want you to promote it. Tell us the name, the address, the email, because, people listen from Australia, believe it or not. Okay. They're listening from around the world, but they're also listening here in the United States. And a lot of us come to New York City with big dreams, really big dreams, but we don't know how to fulfill those dreams. And I know coming here for a lot of trans people is supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be life-changing. And I think connecting to an organization like the one that you oversee is a part of that dream. So please tell us where we can find you, any emails, anything.
Sure. So Translatina Network, we're available on the internet. We have a website. We also are available on Facebook, Instagram, and we have our physical location here in Chelsea, in Manhattan, at 137 West 19th Street, second floor, New York. We're very present in the virtual world. We have a lot of services, a lot of groups. And what's beautiful about that is that, our groups are accessible to anyone who has internet anywhere. So we do have people, attending groups from like Eastern Europe, from Peru, from Mexico, because since, Zoom is available everywhere. Right. So, if you're looking for support or you're looking for resources, feel free to reach out to us. We have a general, email, which is info@Translatina Network, and you can reach out to us there, and we can connect you to resources in-house or external. And our phone number is 646-882-2000. If you have anyone that's locally that needs like food or PPE, feel free to give them our information so that they can connect to us.
Thank you so much for that. And where can they send their good coins if they want to support you by donating?
Sure. So we do have a PayPal account for a nonprofit, and so they can, provide donations that are tax, deductible. They can send it via PayPal through our website, and also we accept checks. So if they want to just mail it to the office, we'll happily accept it that way too. And I believe on Facebook, there's also a link. And like I said, all donations are tax deductible. So they go, for a great cause. And at the same time, you can save on taxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone wins.
Christina, you are amazing. Thank you for this opportunity to do this interview. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being a CEO, empowered and in charge, for helping the community and creating spaces that people can feel safe. Listeners out there, you have the information. You know where to go and support. And happy Trans Day of Visibility. I didn't want to mess it up. I got it right. Did I say it right? Trans Day of Visibility.
Yes, you did.
To everyone out there living your truth, your authentic self, I support you. We support you. We salute you. Shout out to the Human Rights Campaign. Shout out to Them Magazine. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Cristina. We'll be reaching out to you. Obviously, this is not the end. And thank you for the listeners. I bid you farewell until we come back again with more, another great episode for you. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, share the information, and most of all, be your queer self, be your true self. You just heard it, right? All right. Have a wonderful evening. Ricky Roman, you want to say bye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.